Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, we're going to be taking a look at the Nintendo eShop release of Hades, Hades, for the Nintendo Switch. Game is also available on PC via Steam, and it's also available on the Mac OS. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage, I'll have a link down in the description down below, or you can click on the card that will appear up on this video. When it comes to games based off of, like Greece or Greek mythology or Greco-Romans, there are only really a few, at least as far as I'm aware, that I've seen that are like based off that. I mean, outside of games like the Civilization series that you can, play like the Greeks or the Romans or anything like that. I mean, some of the games that I remember are games like Rygar, which saw a version of it on the PS2 back in 2002 and all that stuff. Really would like to see that series come back. Koei Tecmo, Nintendo's Kid Icarus, if you consider that like a Greco-Roman style approach, if you want to look at it from that kind of perspective. God of War, obviously as well, that's another example and all that stuff. So, and of course, Assassin's Creed Odyssey and all, and the upcoming, I think, Immortal Phoenix Rising as well. So, there aren't a whole lot of Greco-Roman or type games that, at least as far as I'm aware of, that I've seen. So it was kind of interesting when this game was announced and that it was coming to the Nintendo Switch. So I decided to give this game Hades a shot as well. And after investing some time with it, honestly, I would say it's actually very good, but I will admit the difficulty spike in the game might turn some people off, but of course that will depend on how you view the game in general. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start off first with the pros. And the first one I want to talk about is the music and the visuals. Honestly, I would say from a visual standpoint, I love the art style that they had with the game and all that stuff. So the game definitely gives off a little bit of a comic book or graphic novel style to the approach and the approach in terms of the visuals, and the music is a mixture of like Greek music with a little bit of rock music thrown in here and there. So from a visual and music standpoint, it's really, really good. The next thing I do want to talk about is the gameplay, and the gameplay is a mixture of sort of like a Souls and a roguelike approach. You have the roguelike approach, which is that the areas are randomized, so every time like you die or something like that, the areas are not going to be the same. So you may gone through a place like at one point, but when you die and you go and you start again, it changes and all that stuff. So it borrows a little bit of that roguelike approach, but it also does a Souls-like approach, which is it's very it has a difficulty spike right there, and if you die, you start at the beginning and all that stuff, but you can level up your character and all that stuff. And unlike a Souls-like game where if you die, you lose all your souls, not so much here. If you say if you got a key, or say if you got these purple look like purple orbs, you still have them even if you die. You can use them to sort of ranging from getting new weapons to basically upgrading your character and all that stuff. So there are certain things it does a little differently from say a Souls-like games and all that stuff. But either way, I will say the rogue and Souls-like approach in terms of gameplay is definitely good, and I definitely really enjoy it though. Plus, I like one of the weapons in the game, which is basically a shield, which can be used as both an offense and a defense approach, which at the same time, it also it kind of gives off a little bit of that Rygar vibe to it as well. And last but not least, I do want to talk about is the story in the game. And I will say the story in the game is actually good, even for a small indie title like this one. Basically, you play as the son of Hades, the god of the underworld and all, and you basically are trying to escape from Hades and meet with the other gods on Mount Olympus, with Zeus, Aphrodite, Ares, and others, while going through, the rogue and soul-like basically gameplay though. I'm definitely getting not only a Rygar, but somewhat, not entirely, but somewhat of a little bit of a God of War vibe to it. I'm talking about God of War 1, 2, and 3, back on the PS2 and the PS3 era, to be exact. And honestly, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, obviously this is a T-rated game, so don't expect it to be M-rated that God of War was or anything like that. But nevertheless, from a story standpoint, it's good. And also, the voice acting is really done well in this game. I gotta give credit to the developers that really got some solid voice acting in this game, too. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, which is the con, so we'll take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Hades for the Nintendo Switch. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And there are really only 2 cons I could think of in regards of the video game Hades. We'll start off with the first one, and I want to talk about is the gameplay. Now, as I mentioned before, the game takes sort of like a rogue/soul-like approach to the game, to its gameplay though, which to me, honestly, I don't necessarily view that as a negative thing. That said, that doesn't mean it's for everybody though. I know that not everyone is a fan of roguelike approach when it comes to video games, or even Souls-like approach, which has a bit of a difficulty spike that can, well, turn some people off though, and Hades isn't the only game that uses Souls-like approach. We've seen that with games like, say, The Mummy Demastered, or any other Souls-like game like Code Vein or the Neo series to be exact. So rogue and Souls-like gameplay is not going to be for everyone. Again, I don't have a problem with it, but I can understand it may not be everyone's taste or preference when it comes to the gameplay and all. The last but not least I do want to talk about is the camera angle. And for those who are not familiar, the camera angle to me sort of takes approach similar to what, like, say, a game like Diablo 3 does in terms of its camera angle type of approach. Some people may not see this as an issue, especially if you played games like Diablo 3 or so forth. Others may, because, I mean, you have no way to rotate the camera or anything like that, which can be difficult at times if you're trying to attack maybe certain enemies, or if a certain stuff like a pillar is in the way, although you could just technically destroy the pillar and all that stuff. So, I mean, I didn't see the camera being a huge issue, at least for me though, but I could see where it could be a problem for some folks out there. So, the camera can be an issue for some, but like I said, I don't think it's actually that bad of an issue at the very least. Overall, I have to say Hades is a game that kind of surprised me a little bit, and I also think it's actually a very good game though. I will say the developers who worked on this did a really good job with it. Visually, it looks great, the music sounds great, and the gameplay is definitely fun, the rogue soul-like approach. I'm aware that the gameplay may not be for everyone, especially if you're not a fan of roguelike games or soul-like games and all that. And the story's actually good. Like I said, I get a little bit of a Rygar and God of War vibe to it to a certain degree, though. But also, like I mentioned as well, the camera might be an issue for some, even though the camera kind of takes a bit of, at least how I'd see it, a Diablo-like approach. But it's definitely a fun game, nevertheless, and it's something to keep me occupied as I wait for the next Greco-Roman style or Greek-like style game, such as Immortal Phoenix Rising. We'll see how well that one does when that comes out next month. But in the meantime, in terms of this one, I have to say, I gotta give credit to the developers who worked on this one. It may be an indie title, but it definitely shows an indie title where developers really put a lot of time and effort into this one. And I wouldn't mind if they do a sequel, if they do a Hades 2, if that ever happens. I definitely would be down with that, especially if they bring it over to the Nintendo Switch. So, overall, I enjoyed the game. I thought it was fun. If you like rogue or Souls-like gameplay, or if those type of same style of gameplay doesn't bother you, then give Hades a look at it though. I think it's a fun and enjoyable game though, and especially with its visuals, music, and the voice acting done really well. So for me, a thumbs up for Hades for the Nintendo Switch. Although the game is on PC, Steam, and Mac, and if you have it on those systems, then get it on those. But if you have a Switch, or if you like the idea of bringing it on the go, then I would say get it for the Nintendo Switch if you can. Okay, this concludes my video review of Hades for the Nintendo Switch. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts of Hades for the Nintendo Switch? Have you picked up the game for the Nintendo Switch yet? Or are you planning to get it on PC via Steam or Mac OS? Do you think the visuals and the music look good on it though? Are you a fan of rogue or rogue-like gameplay or Souls-like gameplay? Or is it that it's sort of a turn-off for you in any way? Do you like what I said in this review? Do you not like what I said? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you'd like. You could do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!